And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College athletics. Have a very exciting show on tap this evening, covering a wide range of sports. But before we get started, I want to thank all of our sponsors of Brevard College athletics: Arby's, Brevard Orthopedics, BSN Sports, Cooper Construction, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pepsi, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Thank you, sponsors of Brevard College Athletics. Well, before we get going, do want to deliver some breaking news. Another round of USA South Conference Player of the Week honors have been announced. And first up, a women's soccer Player of the Week nod to Ashley Royster. She scored the game winner versus Huntington on Sunday. So congratulations, Ashley Royster. Women's Soccer Defender of the Week, Rebecca Rojas. That's her fifth career Defender of the Week award for the USA South Conference. So congratulations to senior goalkeeper Rebecca Rojas. Football Offensive Rookie of the Week, Eli Carr for the second straight week. The freshman quarterback from Asheville, A.C. Reynolds High School. Football Defensive Rookie of the Week goes to Ernest Smith II. He had two huge tackles on fourth down for the Tornadoes in a 27-3 victory over Huntington. Baseball Player of the Week goes to Zach Allison. Big time week at the plate versus both Pfeiffer and William Peace. We'll be talking about Zach and the Tornado baseball program later in the show as well. Well, since we saw you last, a lot of action around NATO Nation. First up, dating all the way back to Wednesday, a win by the men's soccer team, 3-1 over Maryville. Goals by Vinny Giannichini, Tristan Wallace, and Ryan Lynch. Women's lacrosse had its season opener. This was over 365 days since their last game, but great to see them underway. We're going to be talking some women's lacrosse later in the program. Baseball, a 9-3 win over Pfeiffer. Ben Melton, the winning pitcher in that one. Baseball then played a doubleheader on Friday at Gil Cohen Field, a 15-1 win over William Peace, as Holden Lanier and Christian Ezel had big days at the plate. And then a 9-7 win over William Peace, where the Tornadoes stormed back from a 7-0 deficit to take the 9-7 win. Saturday, volleyball was at Huntington, where they lost two matches, and also men's and women's tennis, who we're going to be talking to later in the show. They traveled to Montgomery, Alabama as well, fell to the Huntington Hawks. Softball had a doubleheader versus Covenant. That was postponed due to weather. Women's soccer played Huntington, a 1-0 victory as Ashley Royster scored that game winner off a Tay Brown assist. And the Tornado women's soccer team punched their ticket to the USA South Conference Women's Soccer Championship. So congratulations to the Tornadoes women's soccer team. Then the men's soccer team followed with a 5-0 win over LaGrange. Esteban Berto, Adam Spencer with a pair of goals, Francesco Bonametti and Vinny Giannichini each with goals, as the Tornadoes defeat LaGrange 5-0, and the Tornadoes men's soccer team punches their ticket to the USA South Conference Championship. And that brings us to football, where a historic day on the campus of Brevard College as Brevard defeats Huntington 27-3. It was the first on-campus football game since the 1950s. So the first football game played on the Brevard College campus in the modern era. And glad to be joined now by head football coach Bill Khayat. Well, Coach, before we get into breaking down the game and the X's and O's, as far as that historical note, the first on-campus football game in the modern era, very significant for this program. I think we may be having some technical difficulties with Coach Khayat. Well, Coach Khayat, you're with us here?
All right.
We'll see if we can get a better connection with Coach Khayat. So it was the first on-campus football game in the modern era since the 1950s. The afternoon began with a senior day ceremony as a number of seniors were honored before the game. Coach Khayat, you back with us now?
I am.
All right, very good.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you. My first question to you, Coach, as far as the idea that this was the first ever game on the Brevard College campus in the modern era, could you comment on the significance of that?
Yeah, people had mentioned that we've had home games in the past. I mean, we were playing in Brevard, but what no one seemed to realize was that every one of these games for players and coaches was truly a road game, because we did nothing different than if we were going to travel to Maryville to play them. We had to pack our bags, load them on a bus, drive to a different location, set up in a locker room that is not the one that we use on a daily basis. And so you're in someone else's locker, you're using someone else's things. So it was never truly home. And if you can be somewhere where you're comfortable, you typically can perform a lot better, especially for recall of plays and things of that nature. But to be able to do this on our actual campus where, the kids are used to going to school, walking the campus, walking to practice, I know it was just such a thrill for them to go out and to be able to perform in a place that they truly call home.
The day began with a ceremony prior to kickoff honoring the senior class. Two cheerleaders, Megan Coggins and Gracie Davis, and then Steffon Canady, Dante Anderson, Andreas Wyatt, Stephen Hogan, Chasen Lowry, Quentin Jackson, Brandon Whitfield, Wesley Ross, Nicholas Eubanks, Jacob Dixon, and Gabriel Rebollar Catalan were honored. Coach, significant this senior class, their contributions to the Tornadoes.
Well, this is my fourth year now as the head coach, which means we finally had a senior class come through. These are players that we brought to the program. And to think of where we began 4 years ago with 17 players.
Think we may be losing
now
Coach.
Putting in ourselves. Okay, you have me. So of where we were, to where we were to now, having a bowl game championship under our belt and having a start to the season where we put ourselves, if you will, in the driver's seat to be able to make our way to our version of the postseason. So none of this could have been done without these seniors, and it's just a exciting time for us because if you think about in years past, our senior day didn't take very long. So now we're in the double digits of having seniors on this team. With that, obviously the maturity and the great play on the field, but it's the leadership quality that has allowed us to be in the position that we are now.
And then the game gets underway, all sorts of hoopla and excitement, but a task at hand for the Tornadoes, and Tornadoes offense delivers early on a 65-yard run by DJ Taylor. Big, kind of tone setter there by Taylor.
To develop our identity. And so now we know what we like to do and how we want to go about doing it. And I think defenses are saying for the first time, okay, we look at Brevard College, their offense, what do they like to do? Well, they can see what we do based on film study, but we also have what we like to do. And we're just saying we're better at running what we like to run than you are at stopping what it is that we like to run. So that was kind of our approach in this past game. And boy, that was great to see DJ be able to see the hole and scoot on down that sideline. And it was right on our sideline. So it was exciting to watch him burn it down that sideline.
And then Eli Carr scores the first touchdown at Ives Lamel Family Field to Aaron Bennett for 26 yards. Huntington responds with a field goal. And then that was it for Huntington in terms of scoring in this one. before we get into more offensive highlights, Coach, the defense just shutting out Huntington from that point forward. No touchdowns allowed in the entire game.
Right. And defense is on. You got me back?
Yep.
Did you get me back? I know I keep fading out of it. So if you think about it, the role that the defense has been on, it's been since the first quarter of the Averett game since anyone has scored a touchdown on Brevard College defense. Then you think about 5 of the 8 quarters with a 0 on the board for the opponent. So, I mean, Coach Jakes really has these guys playing at full capacity. Couldn't be more proud of their performance. And of course, now all of these individual accolades that start to rack up. And that's what we've always told our players is that if you play the team setting and you do as you're coached to do, then those individual honors and accolades will come rather than playing for the accolades. Then all of a sudden you don't get the victories that you should. So it was a wonderful performance. I'm sure you'll bring up some of the names of the players and we can touch on those. But there were some incredible individual performances that aided in the overall production of the defense.
All right, Coach. Well, we will try to get a better connection with you. Coach, you got us now?
I'm here.
All righty. Back to that defense. You mentioned some of the individuals. Dante Anderson, 13 tackles and an interception. Jock Pledger with 2 picks. Toby Naylor, 13 tackles. Steffon Canady with 8 tackles and a sack. We mentioned Ernest Smith II earning that Defensive USA South Conference honor. Just an all-around strong performance by that side of the ball.
Yeah, it's incredible to see the things that Dante Anderson was able to do. I mean, he was voted team captain, captain of the defense, head of the player council, and it was a big game, and big players stepped up to make big plays. He was truly all over the field. He was covering everything on the back end, and all of a sudden he's up at the line of scrimmage making tackles. So he covered just so much ground, played his heart out. Steffon Canady ended up playing 70 plays in that game. So that may not mean much to somebody that doesn't understand, but basically he was in on just about every single play of the entire game. And to be able to excel being out on the field that much, just shows the commitment he had to the program and his preparation for this game. Jock Pledger, yeah, you knew he was going to get a few interceptions. I mean, he looked beautiful in making those interceptions from all his baseball background, those nice little over the shoulder. You could see that he pulled some skills out from another sport. Toby Naylor's really been playing at a high level lately. I know he got some nice accolades last week after the Averett game, and he hasn't slowed down at all. Ernest Smith, what a great story. He's been working really hard on our scout team. So for our offensive line, they've been trying to block him over the last several weeks and just shown some incredible things during that time, which has allowed him to then slowly be inserted into the defense. And when he got his opportunity, he made sure that everybody knew he was a force to be reckoned with.
That second quarter, Eli Carr hits Jonathan Woods for back-to-back touchdowns. And then Carr hits Dalton Cole to convert a 2-point conversion. If you can mention that second quarter, that was big as the Tornadoes pulled away. And it felt like that 2-point conversion success was a tone setter as well.
Yeah, would you mind quickly one more time? I lost you just a little bit, Phil. I feel like I get about a minute and a half, and then I know this will dip out for a moment.
No problem, Coach. Just that second quarter, Carr to Woods.
Yeah, so now remember, Jonathan Woods is from the state of Alabama, and he's a transfer from Alabama A&M, and he didn't have his best performance the first time we played Huntington, so I knew that he was chomping at the bit to get back in there. So we wanted to make sure that we had some things in there, a few wrinkles in the offense to make sure that he had an opportunity when presented to make a big play. And sure enough, I mean, there were two big ones in the game where he had those opportunities and came away with big time touchdowns. And then Dalton Cole, what an outstanding athlete. I mean, truly, our minds as coaches are just growing, thinking about all of the different things that we can do with him. And, it wasn't Stamati's best day kicking. So we thought that, maybe a 2-point conversion would be the right thing at the time. And so we put Dalton in there, and, certainly the defense really was at a loss as to what we were doing with them, how we were going to use them. And boy, he just muscled that ball right away from the defender. And that 2 points really helped us with 20 points on the board at that point.
Score remained 20-3 into the fourth quarter, and then a huge drive, 10 plays, 68 yards, milked all sorts of clock, and then Carr hit Rebollar Catalone for the final touchdown of the day, 27-3 Tornadoes. That fourth quarter, Tornadoes did what they needed to do to put away the Hawks.
Right. And, at that point, it was really for us to keep that ball. Don't give Huntington even a glimmer of hope. They looked like, we had kind of hurt their spirit a little bit with the way the defense was playing. But that last drive just continued to run it. And then that was Coach Kruzik, the pass game coordinator and quarterback coach, said, hey, this would be a good time to pretend we're going to run it and then throw a little pass on them. And it worked out beautifully for Gabe, who's a senior. So that was his senior day, being able to catch that touchdown pass. But a great call by Coach Kruzik at that exact time. And Eli Carr did have a fantastic day throwing just beautiful passes, just nice, soft, gorgeous touch on the ball for the guys to be able to make plays. And, once that, it's still Huntington you're playing, and you feel like the game is never over, even when it's 27-3. I mean, you really had to wait till you saw all zeros on the clock to believe it was actually happening.
Well, Coach, congratulations once again, a 27-3 victory. The Tornadoes football program just electrified this campus on Saturday. And, hey, football's here to stay here on campus at Brevard College. We've got the first one underway, but I know there's lots of work to be done. Coach, can you just comment finally on the rest of the season ahead, the goals of the Tornadoes?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, if you were able to hear through my poor internet connection here, we put ourselves in a position now where if we can win out, we can find ourselves in that championship game. And really, we don't have any other goal. So we have one more game. That won't be this weekend. It'll be the following weekend. So that will be a trip to Maryville. And that's the win that we need to put ourselves into the championship game. So that's our focus right now. We're not really looking beyond that. So we don't know where we'll be playing or so that's our plan. We'd love to get another home game, because I'll tell you what, it was definitely the first thing that my wife Jenny said was that drum line. So Dr. Nathan Tingler, what a fantastic, outstanding job. That warm up, that really got our guys fired up for the game. The atmosphere was completely different. It felt like a true college football atmosphere. So I do want to thank Dr. Tingler for everything that he did with the drum line and having those that group ready to go.
Very good, Coach. Well, NATO Nation, thank you for turning out this weekend. We had record-breaking numbers on the broadcast on Saturday, and it was just great to deliver all the action. And for those who were able to attend the game as well, appreciate all the support. And our apologies for a couple of little technical hiccups here during the connection. I hope the audience was able to get the majority of the message. And Coach, thank you for joining Tornado Talk once again, and congrats on the big weekend.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks so much, Phil.
All right, Coach Khayat, we'll let him go and bring in our student-athlete guest from the Brevard College football team. There they are. Smiles all around. Gabe Rebollar Catalone, Dante Anderson, Steffon Canady, three of the big stars from this past weekend's 27-3 win over Huntington. Well, Gabe Rebollar, you're in that upper right corner, so we will start with you. Overall, how'd it feel to play in the first ever game in the modern era on campus at Brevard College?
It felt great. I took a lot of pride just because it was our field. It didn't get to me till warm-ups. I was like, dang, this is really our field. Like, we got to protect this turf. And so that's when it really hit me. I'm like, man, this is our field. This is really our field. And so that's when it hit me. And I was super excited just to be able to play my senior day, first game ever at the Brevard Ives Family Field, and get a touchdown. So that's my perspective.
Very good. Steffon Canady, a big part of that defense, but quite the atmosphere playing at home, correct, Steffon?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of fans. Due to COVID, we couldn't really have too many people come out. So it was just great seeing, all the family, all the parents, and everybody coming in, just supporting all the students that came out. Big shout out to them. Nice. Like Coach Khayat said, band was live. So, it was a great atmosphere. I feel like a real, college football game. So definitely helped the team out a little bit.
And Dante Anderson, just like these two, also a senior member of that Brevard College Tornado football team. Dante, it felt good to play on campus, correct?
Yeah. Really what got me was the band, because we've never had a band in the past, and just to hear, the drums and all the other instruments on top of the crowd, just like a whole different atmosphere that we really haven't been used to from being on the high school field. So to have our own field is a blessing. Really want to take care of it and just keep bringing in more wins.
Well, I want to get into each of your individual play a bit, because each of you had big days on the field as well. And let's start with Gabe Rebollar Catalan. First career touchdown as a Tornado, and it couldn't have come at a sweeter time on senior day. And this was a big deal because, as Coach mentioned, you never want to let your foot off the pedal when it's Huntington. And it capped off a 10-play, 68-yard drive. Eli Carr hits Rebollar Catalan for a 20-yard touchdown, and Tornado's able to take the win from there. How did it feel, Gabe? Tell us how that all went down.
Hey, it felt amazing to me. When I was actually running the route, everything kind of like slowed down for me, and I'm like, man, all the training I did over the summer, all the training I did over COVID, and like all that added up to this moment. And so all those reps I did basically just added up to that touchdown. It was pretty funny. Steffon actually called the touchdown. We were on the sideline. He's like, man, I just want you to get a touchdown to seal the game. Gabe Rebollar Catalan with the touchdown. And then I was like, in my head, I'm like, well, I know a certain play we can run it on. And it was this play. And then when we called it in the huddle, I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, this is it. This is the play. I'm like, I remember waking up that morning just running that play in my head. I'm like, this is going to be the play I score. This is going to be the play I score. And just being able to accomplish that. And it was amazing. It was a blessing. My first career touchdown. It was emotional for me just because all the training I put over the summer and over COVID, it was amazing. But yeah, Steffon called that.
Hey, Steffon, before we get into your play, talk about that as far as calling that.
I just seen him stand on the sideline, and our offense is doing real good. And he had gotten a nice little catch earlier in the game. So I was just like, it's your turn now. You can seal it right here, senior day. So I just really wanted to see him get one for on the home field. So crazy
Yeah,
how it out.
Great stuff. Well, Steffon Canady, then 8 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble. You felt like the front seven really clicking there, Steffon?
Oh, yeah. Coach Axe and Coach Rowe, they're real big on, making sure we're reading our keys and doing our job, lineman assignment. So, yeah, everybody, is in tune. If anybody's confused, we can always talk to each other, help each other out. So, hold each other accountable. So, yeah, big shout out, front seven.
Dante Anderson, 13 tackles, another interception in your senior day performance. I mean, it's, business as usual for that secondary of the Tornadoes. Such a ball hawking strength of the team. But Dante, it seemed like you guys were even taking it up another level on the home field.
Yeah, we emphasize, just doing your job. Coach Jake's always emphasized if every person on the defense does their job, there's no way, we could be beat or get points put on us. And then also pursuit. So every day at practice, we do pursuit drill. So run to the ball. And if you're not running to the ball, we're going to do it again. So just that throughout the week trains us for game day. So if I'm on the field, I'm going to give you my all every play. And also along with Steffon and the other players, we're just going to run to the ball.
Yeah, and Dante, sticking with you for a moment, you had the interception. Jock Pledger had 2 interceptions. There was also a takeaway on special teams on a fumble on a punt return that, the Tornadoes were able to jump all over. That's a big part of any football game, creating those takeaways and winning that turnover battle. Is that something you guys really emphasize, Dante?
Yes, sir. Especially as far as defense, like last year we had 19 interceptions, and we always emphasize, go for the ball. So if it's the second man in, we're looking to script it. If the ball's in the air as a DB, it got to be yours. So we just really emphasize we got to have the ball to give it back to the offense to let them score. So just doing that week by week helps us out. So kudos to Jakes because he really emphasizes turnovers. We do turnover circuits all week through practice. So what we do during practice leads us to the game, and that's how we're successful come Saturday.
Yep, defensive coordinator Luke Jakes. And Steffon, kind of sticking on the same topic as far as you guys as pass rushers creating havoc and rushing that quarterback so he might make a mistake, and guys like Dante can come up with the pick, correct?
Yeah, we really want to emphasize, closing the pocket, kind of hemming them in sometimes, or like just has his fire zones where we flush him out certain ways and just get in his face and get him in uncomfortable positions to throw the ball or make, tough decisions and stuff like that. So just trying to get back there and, yeah, like you said, wreak havoc, give them an opportunity to get the ball for our offense.
Back to the offensive side of the ball, Gabe. Eli Carr, back-to-back Offensive Rookie of the Week awards for USA South, this native of Asheville, North Carolina. You were on the receiving end of one of his touchdown passes. He hasn't thrown an interception yet. He's perfect in the touchdown to interception ratio. Can you tell us even more about this guy?
Eli Minshew. That's what I like to call him. He's a great, humble guy. I remember he was actually during our camp and all that. He was actually working in with all 4 quarterbacks, and then eventually came down to 2. And then he was actually running the scout team. He just never gave up. He was always working. I'm gonna work up to get to that number 1 spot. And so he just kept working and working. And when it came to the huddle, he put on a switch, and he's commanding people. He's like, all right, this play, make sure you run it like this. And so he's very good at being a leader and switching that on during the games. And in practice, he's always being positive, making sure that everyone's, come on, guys. Like, if I drop a ball in practice or if someone else drops a ball, oh, you'll get it the next time. Let's go. And so that's the type of person he is. I'm glad to have him, especially on our side. And I like him a lot. That's my guy, Eli Minshew.
Very good. Well, 3 seniors from this outstanding senior class who got to celebrate their senior day and deliver NATO Nation with a historic afternoon, 27-3 over Huntington. Before I let the 3 of you go, I want to give you each the opportunity for shout-outs, thank yous, anybody you want to do a little hat tip to that might be watching the program or maybe catching it later or, maybe just to help you along the way. Gabe, kick us off.
Well, I like to shout out Eli for throwing that pass to me. I appreciate you, Eli. Also, I like to shout out my family back home in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, Mesa, everyone watching, my girlfriend who's watching back home, everything. That's everyone. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Very good. Steffon Canady, same opportunity for you.
Big shout out, Coach Easter, Coach Rowe. They're getting us prepared for the games every week and stuff like that. Really great coaches. Big shout out to Coach Jakes. Always having a game plan ready, getting us whatever we need to get ready to win this game. Big shout out to Coach Khayat, offense, Eli, everybody looking good. Big shout out to everybody just buying in, O-line, everybody. Just getting to see the rest of the season done. So, big shout out to the team.
Dante, got shout outs for us?
Yes. Huge shout out to teammates. We push each other 7 days a week to get better, compete, and practice. Shout out to the defensive coaches. They do a lot behind the scenes to prepare us for Saturdays. Shout out to my family. My dad and my brother showed up to support. And also shout out to one of my teammates, Shrimp. He requested a shout out, so shout out to him.
Very good. Well, you three seniors and the entire senior class and the entire Tornado football program, thanks again for making the weekend so fun for all of us in NATO Nation, and we can't wait to see what's ahead as you guys pursue that USA South Conference Championship. Gabe Rebollar, Catalan, Steffon, Canady, Dante Anderson, thanks again for joining Tornado Talk.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Very good. There they go. 3 members of that football team that defeated Huntington over the weekend. And we're going to shift gears now and head on over to the McCoy Tennis Complex as we bring in head tennis coach Brad Jones. Coach Jones, thanks for joining the show.
How you doing, Phil? Thanks for having me.
Doing great. There's a lot of energy across NATO Nation and across the campus of Brevard College right now. All sorts of sports in action, including yours. And Coach, what I'd like to start with is, long layoff, just like so many teams in college athletics during the COVID-19 pandemic. But Tornado's finally able to get their season underway back on March the 6th, and both the men's and women's teams with big wins over Berea. Can you talk about sort of like that whole process and how far the team came to get to that point?
Yeah, it started all back in the fall. Once we first showed up, kind of getting the team together, figuring out, we're not going to have a season. So it's okay, we're going to practice together, 5-6 days a week, and just to really develop their skills a little bit more. I think that kind of helped us out not having a season, being able to have the kids come in and us focus on their technique, their strokes and stuff like that, the game plans, developing patterns, and trying to develop different individual styles for each individual player. So I think that really helped us. But again, not having a season last year, coming into the spring, it was, a lot of these kids, it's still kind of their first year, sort of say, even though they're sophomores, it's kind of their first full year. So just kind of developing their strokes, but really just developing a game plan for the spring once we do finally, just start playing matches.
And I'd love to learn more about your roster and for us to educate our audience a little more on, the student athletes you have on the roster this season. Let's start on the women's side, Coach. Can you tell us about your team?
Yeah, so we have started off with, we have 3 seniors, which kind of play a big role in our team, especially kind of the leadership role and getting everybody together on and off the court, which is nice. And then we have, we have a transfer junior in Lily Farr coming in that kind of plays the top spot for us, brings the energy. And then we have a lot of underclassmen, 4 sophomores. So really just, again, trying to get them some match time in, kind of tired of beating up on ourselves and ready to beat up on some other opponents.
And tell us about the men's side.
The men's a little bit younger than the women's team. We don't have a senior. We have 1 junior, actually 2 juniors, and then the rest are really sophomores, and we have 2 freshmen. So again, it's a lot of talent. Just we just got to get some experience, and a lot of the kids saw it last week at Berea and also this week at Huntington.
Next up is a doubleheader essentially versus Piedmont. Before we kind of get into previewing the weekend, can you tell us a little bit about the schedule itself? Certainly, some adjustments due to the pandemic and so forth, and how it lays out this year, perhaps different than past years.
Yeah. So For us, we're playing just conference teams. The first match is the conference match that counts. The second match is a non-conference match. It's against the same team. Some teams are doing it. Some teams we're just playing once. But for the teams that we're playing twice, it's nice. We play our real lineup the first match that counts. And then it's nice to be able to come in that second match and throw some curveballs in there. That's what we did at Huntington. We had some kids that, like my number one on the men's team, he played both Huntington's 1 and 2 seats. After, them seeing him play, the number 2 was like, hey, I want a shot at him, and stuff like that. And, and kind of the schedule this year allows that, to be able to kind of throw in some curveballs, move some people up, move some people down, maybe mixing in a few different doubles pairings, just to see the matchups. I refer it to kind of like, kind of NASCAR. When you're at the end of the season, you're getting a team, either you're driving for a sponsor, driving for a ride, or you're just getting ready for the next year. And so that's kind of what we're kind of doing with the second match, is really just seeing what we have as a young team moving forward to the rest of this season, but also moving into the fall as well.
This weekend, the Tornadoes will host Piedmont at the McCoy Tennis Complex. And as you mentioned, Coach, that Friday match at 3 p.m. will be the conference match. And we're looking forward to bringing an enhanced broadcast to that one. Hope folks can tune into the YouTube channel. We'll be bringing you interviews throughout the match and so forth. And then the two teams will square off again on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Should be a great weekend of tennis versus Piedmont, correct, Coach?
Yeah, knock on wood. Hopefully we have great weather. Supposed to be nice on Friday and Saturday, but yeah, it's going to be, again, they're the top team in the division, so it's a good chance to see where we stack up with their program and to see what we need to do to kind of develop to get better as we move forward through this year and also next year.
Coach, one last one before we bring in the tennis student athletes. Now that you've been here a couple seasons and sort of learned the lay of the land, can you tell folks a little bit about, the strengths of the Brevard College tennis program? What's the culture of the team all about? And, in case there might be a, high school tennis student athlete out there, thinking about Brevard, what would be your message to him or her?
The first thing is the scenery. I mean, just look at the wall behind you. North Carolina has a distinct mountain range, and, the scenery, I say it all the time, it's a Bob Ross painting every day. Every sunset, sunrise, it's a Bob Ross painting. So, but for us as a tennis program, it's our community. That's the biggest backing for us. So, the support on campus and stuff like that. But it's not a lot of schools you go to where you have a big tennis community where they've played college tennis and they had a good experience, good education, and they just want to, give that back to our program. And that's, one thing that I really don't take for granted. And I let the kids know that, just because there's not too many schools, especially in Division III, that can offer what we offer, not only in athletics, but for our tennis program as well.
Very good, Coach. Well, appreciate you joining the show. We look forward to seeing you out there at the McCoy Tennis Complex this weekend. But before we let you go, stick around with us just a few more moments here. We're going to bring in the student athletes from the men's and women's tennis team.
And also, if the drum line wants to come out too, hey, we'll welcome you against Piedmont. Bring the drum line, bring the noise, bring the crowd. We'll take you.
It's kind of the beauty of college tennis. You can kind of get things hyped up a little bit, right?
It's changed. Yeah, it's changed since I've played. It's no gentleman and female sport anymore. It's full blown college sport. It's rowdy. So.
Very cool. Coach, before we let you go, help us introduce these two student athletes, Ethan McGee and Hamrick Perry. We know all the statistics and, all the information on these two, but tell us even more about McGee and Perry.
Yeah, again, kind of the youngsters in our program. One comes from Hendersonville, North Carolina. The other one comes from the other side of North Carolina. So, it's kind of bringing them in. I think they're going to be a lot of big leaders in our program moving forward into the years to come. We got Hamrick working on her game, developing a little bit more, hitting through the ball, staying on the baseline and being a little bit more aggressive. And then Ethan McGee, we're just, we're shooting him in the fire and saying, hey, get experience, because this is what you need to be able to be successful. And last year it didn't show, but you can see this year that the hard work is paying off, especially at singles. So, big props to him, and also big props to Hammy for also being undefeated this year. So, absolutely.
Very good. Well, Coach Jones, we'll see you out there at the McCoy Tennis Complex on Friday. Really looking forward to it. Thanks for joining Tornado Talk.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And there he goes, Coach Jones, and joined now by two of these tennis student athletes, Hamrick Perry and Ethan McGee. Thank you both for joining the program. Looking forward to talking some tennis with each of you. And Hamrick, let's start with you. A sophomore from nearby Hendersonville, North Carolina, Hendersonville High School. Hey, I know you guys, had to be very patient, waiting for this season to finally get started. But now it's underway. It feels really good, I would imagine, to finally get to be playing some tennis against real competition, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and Ethan McGee here from Salisbury, North Carolina, Salisbury High School, the sophomore. By the way, winner of USA South Men's Tennis Player of the Week, week 1 of this season. Ethan, feeling like you're hitting the ball and playing well so far this year?
Yeah, I think I'm hitting a lot better when it comes to consistency. And these few matches that we've had, like just the experience, it's been good so far.
Very good. Hamrick, tell us a little more about your game on the court. Are you, ground stroke, serve and volley type? Describe as lengthy as you like.
So I'm really they call me the backboard. So I'm really I just hit it back to them and make my opponent miss it. Because I like to be that annoying player that everyone just hates. Because ever since I started playing, I've always been really consistent with my game, and that's always how I've been winning. And so that's kind of where I stand now is I've been more consistent, and like my coach said, I've been hitting the ball a lot harder more, and been standing on the baseline and hitting through the ball.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it's certainly paying off. And as Coach mentioned, undefeated. Ethan, undefeated as well. However, you faced kind of your toughest match so far in that second one, day 2 at Huntington. It got a little tight there at a few of those moments, but you pulled it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that second match, I guess playing a lefty, it's been years since I've played a good lefty, and it just caught me by surprise, and he took advantage of it, I guess.
Well, it sounds like you'd probably be, that much more prepared next time it comes up in terms of, facing that lefty. Ethan, tell us a little bit about doubles play. Who have you been playing with primarily, and tell us about your doubles team.
Yeah, so it's me and Andrew Ingram for number 1 doubles, and right now we're kind of struggling. It's just communication, I think, is the biggest part of it, and also getting that next ball in, which we're having a hard time doing right now.
Well, I know you guys are going to continue to work hard at it and get that communication down. Hamrick, how about yourself? Tell us about the double side of things.
So I played with Lily on Saturday, and that was our first time playing. So in forever, because we've never played with each other, and so I think it was definitely a tough match. But I mean, we definitely could have played a little bit better, because definitely with more communication with some of the points that we had. But I mean, we definitely played a good game against Huntington, though.
That's good to hear. Would like to learn a little bit about each of you in terms of your tennis careers. If you can tell our audience, when did you start playing tennis? When did it start getting serious? And then how did you eventually find your way here to Brevard College? Hamrick, you want to get us started with that one?
Yes, sir. So I started playing tennis since I was 10. And we didn't have a middle school team, so we came up with the junior team tennis at my country club. And so we started getting a little group, a team going, and then we started doing tournaments. And then we were like, hey, we should have a team called the junior team tennis. And that's where we have little matches, and we play against other, junior team tennis, because we didn't have a team in middle school, so that was kind of our middle school. And then I started playing high school matches, and then it was a lot different because it was like more competitive. And then I also had like when I was a senior, my sister was like a sophomore, and we played doubles together, and that got really competitive because she was almost a lot better player than I was. So she's like, we were a good team. And then I found how Brevard found me was, coach went to one of my matches in Shelby that we played in somewhere in Shelby for the high school regionals, and he's like, "Hey, you want to come tour Brevard for tennis?" I was like, "Yes, sir." And so
The rest is history.
yeah.
Very cool. Well, glad it all worked out that way, Hamrick. Ethan, how about yourself as far as your tennis journey?
Yeah, so I started playing tennis the summer before going into high school, and it was kind of a big decision because I'd played baseball for basically since I was a kid, and that summer before high school, some friends of mine on the team were trying to get me out and playing, and I found it pretty easy starting off, and I guess thought I would continue playing tennis, and that's how it started, I guess. In playing high school, I started taking it seriously when my dad would take me to USTA tournaments, and found that the competition there was extremely good. And from that point on, I've just kept on pushing myself to get better and better.
Very cool. Just a couple more before we let the two of you go. Ethan, you've got a favorite men's tennis player, on the professional circuit that you perhaps motto your game after?
Yeah, one player in specific would be Mackenzie McDonald. I really like his game. I copy exactly after how he plays. Watched him in high school a bunch, and I really like his game. He comes to the net a bunch, which I try and do. I try and do, but he's a good player. He's an up and comer right now.
Very cool. Same question for you, Hamrick. You have a favorite player?
Probably Roger Federer. He's definitely a consistent player too, but he'll hit the ball hard. So I'm trying to be like that way too.
Yeah, he gets it done. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
Last one before we let you go, I want to give you each the opportunity to give any shout outs or thank yous to anyone who may have helped you along the way or might be tuning into the show at any point. Hamrick, you have any thank yous or shout outs for us?
Just shout out to my mom just for pushing me every day for because she was the one who brought me to tennis, because ever since she started playing tennis, I was like, hey, I want to play tennis too. And so it's just always been my favorite sports now. And then also shout out to Coach for being also there with helping me with my mental game of tennis.
Very good. Ethan?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Coach Jones, to Jimmy, who's always pushing me, even today, really hard. And also give a shout out to Andrew Ingram and Jamarcus Walker, and then the rest of the team, of course.
Very nice. Well, nicely done here on Tornado Talk. We'll see you at the McCoy Tennis Complex. We'll probably grab you again for an interview if that's okay with you guys. Hamrick Perry and Ethan McGee of that men's and women's tennis team. Thanks for joining Tornado Talk.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, and there they go. We're going to switch gears now and talk some women's lacrosse, and joined now by head coach Kristin Rosato and also assistant coach Diana Loaiza. Coach Rosato, Coach Loaiza, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, Phil.
Thank you for having us.
Well, it's great to have the two of you on this show. And what I'd like to start with, over 365 days, between contests for the women's lacrosse team, a long road traveled, all sorts of, left and right turns, but eventually got to play again, right here at Eisenhower Family Field, a matchup versus Pfeiffer to get this season started. Coach Rosato, can you kind of put it all in perspective? everyone knows how unusual this has been, but, certainly for your team, just what they've gone through to get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, for our season to kind of be pulled out from underneath us last year and to, kind of throw together a senior day for Diana was, a senior then, and kind of throw all that together and then hurry them off campus. And, to kind of be a year later and with a new group is a very different team than it was last year. We're lucky and happy to be able to have the opportunity to play, but there's still a little bit that, you wish you could kind of go back and have that team from last year and, be able to finish out the games and see what could have happened. But with this year, it was awesome. And we were really excited for the Pfeiffer game. I think the girls were very nervous. You could tell they have not played in a year. The nerves were there. And even for the returners who have done this, who have been in that situation before, they were so nervous. And so I think it took that game to kind of knock some rust off, definitely, not the result we wanted. But I think, it'll set us up for the rest of the year to kind of come out and compete and, be in it and maybe not have those nerves as bad as they did this past game.
And Coach Diana Loaiza, your coaching debut on the college level, as Coach Rosato mentioned, last year, your senior year here, and, you set an intention that you wanted to get into athletics and into coaching, and you're now an assistant coach for the women's lacrosse team. How did it feel to be on that side of things on the sideline? I think you might be on mute still, Coach.
Sorry. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous at the beginning. It was kind of weird to see the whole different side of what Coach Rosato does during games. I was just used to you come out there and just do your thing. I was very nervous, but I knew that I had to help get the girls ready and everything, and I knew they were nervous, so I was like, I can't show how nervous I am, and I was excited and nervous at the same time.
Very good. Well, Coach Rosato, it's got to be comforting to have, a coach like Coach Loaiza, who you knew so well as a student athlete, and you have that chemistry with.
Yeah, Dinah's done well. I'm pretty tough on her, just like when she was a player. But she's always been great to the program as a player and now as a coach. She's someone that the girls respect. She's someone that I respect. I really enjoy, having her on the sideline. And I know that she's only going to get better as a coach. This is her first year. She still has a lot to learn, but just like when she was a player her freshman year, she's going to learn a lot. She's going to invest her time into it. She's going to do a great job.
Outstanding. Now, women's lacrosse will be back in action this weekend at Ives Lamel Family Field at 1 p.m. We'll be bringing you that coverage on the YouTube channel. Coach, I'd like to hear from both of you on this one. A lot of our fans, truthfully speaking, have never seen perhaps a lacrosse game before. So, we've always kind of been in the business of sort of educating them on the sport and turning them onto the sport. Can you each give a novice a couple of tips if they're watching the broadcast, what to look for, how to understand the game, wherever you want to go with this question? Coach Rosato?
Probably the one I get asked the most is, what certain calls are. If we're on offense and we get fouled and we get a free shot, it's almost like a free throw in a basketball. That's a good thing for us. And that was usually because they were pushed or they were in shooting space, which just means there's someone in the lane or in the alley where a player is trying to shoot. So if you see this, two hands in front of each other, that's what that is. And on our end, defensive end, same thing. If we're in shooting space or if we foul, they get the same shot. So that's usually the biggest call I get is they don't understand why we're getting that shot.
Coach Loaiza?
Well, I think important to know is kind of like basketball, we can only have 5 players on one side of the court. In lacrosse, it's the same. You can only have 7. So that's why sometimes we just have 4 of our own team back. I know I get that a lot. We're like, why aren't the other girls going in to go help? And I'm like, no, we can only have 7 on one side of the field at a time.
Very good. Well, we look forward to trying to turn on even more fans to the sport. It's always growing. You know, you see more and more coverage on the major networks and so forth, and we're excited that it's part of the Brevard College formula as well. Coach Rosato, you know, there's a whole culture to the women's lacrosse program beyond just, you know, the game itself. And a big part of that is community service. I know things have been limited a little bit with the pandemic and everything, what some of the outreach you've been able to do this year. But can you fill us in on that philosophy, but also maybe some of the specifics of what you guys have been up to in the community?
Yeah, you know, it's really important to me that, you know, the program itself stands for more than just lacrosse. You know, we want to make a difference. We want leaders to, you know, be a part of this program and to exit, you know, strong women and go on and do great things. And so I think a big part of that is getting them super involved. And we do a lot with the local community here. Roosterhead is probably our number one go-to. We have an awesome relationship with them, and Jackie and her family have really opened up their farm and allowed us to kind of be a part of the family there. You know, when you walk up to the store, our name is on the board. We did a lot. We were going to help right before the pandemic started. We had plans to help them with a garden that she was going to kind of name after us. So we do a lot. This year looked a lot different. A lot of people, you couldn't have volunteers, so we had to get super creative. Luckily, you know, obviously the farm's outside, so we were still able to go and, you know, do things with Jackie and her family. Every week we did that. And then a couple other things we did some pen pal stuff with the Boys and Girls Club, just sending letters back and forth, which was really cute because they started drawing pictures. And then let's see, we kind of, this isn't community service based, but we put together 5 meetings that were about kind of education on different topics. And we have a great resource, I would say, in the community. Her name is Laura, and she is with SAFE, domestic violence shelter here in town. And she actually came out and did a 5-part series with us and the cross country teams. So we tried to get super creative and do as much as we could. It definitely looked a lot different. We haven't been able to do some of the things we would love to do. But we have a lot of plans moving forward. We have, you know, some new ideas, you know, that we're trying to get going again now that, you know, things are getting a little bit better with the pandemic and, you know, vaccines are coming out. Hopefully we can get back to, you know, full go on that. And our main objective is to do some type of community service every single week. We have been pretty involved with helping work games the past couple weeks as well. So we're just trying to get involved, be creative. You know, again, it's about a lot more than just lacrosse.
Coach Loaiza, as someone who was a student athlete here with this philosophy in place, this is critical to build character, correct?
Oh, yes, for sure. I personally enjoyed community service as well because I was also spending time with my teammates, but doing something else than like lacrosse, so what we typically do. And Coach Rosato is really good about giving us options. So I didn't feel like I was doing the same thing all the time. Like we had choices of like where to go or what to do, and would switch it up every week. So it'd be like good to learn different things.
Coach Rosato, you mentioned, you know, helping with the other events around campus. You know, a big one over the weekend, the first ever football game on campus. I want to thank you and the women's lacrosse team for all their help. They made us look good on the broadcast and so forth.
Awesome.
But also just wanted to kind of get your feelings on the following, because you've been around a while at Brevard College, you know, sort of where we're at as an athletic department with all the excitement, and then also sort of the family of, you know, the teams looking out for each other and cheering on each other, but also taking care of each other. You know, this is a challenging time to pull off all these events in a short amount of time at the same time.
Yeah.
Coach, can you kind of comment on that as far as the athletic department as a whole?
It's come a long ways. Just walk around campus. It's a completely different place. Brevard, you know, athletically right now, we're competing in a lot of awesome sports, you know, that in the past maybe haven't competed. To see baseball being successful, to see football winning a huge game this past weekend, both the soccer teams punched their ticket. You know, it's exciting. It gets you pumped up. You know, you want to join in that success. So I think, all these wins and, walking around and see these facility upgrades, you can't help but to be excited and to think what's to come next, and I think it's only going to get better. I tell every recruit this, right now is a great time to be at Brevard. Everything that the administration, the president, everyone, Miranda, their goal has been to make this year happen, and they've done a really awesome job of that. And, I'm super grateful to work here, and I've always been proud to work for Brevard, and, to see everything that, we're investing in. It's really, really exciting. And again, I'm just grateful for it, and I hope soccer's keep going. I think they have an awesome opportunity. I think baseball is going to keep going. And football. I mean, this weekend was pretty darn exciting, to have that on campus and have the stands to be how they were. And, it's an awesome environment.
Very good. Well, head coach Kristin Rosato, assistant coach Diana Loaiza of the women's lacrosse program. They'll be in action this weekend, 1 p.m. at Islamel Family Field. We'll be bringing you all the coverage via YouTube. Coaches, stick with us just a moment. We're going to bring in our student athlete guests, and would love for your hand in helping us introduce these two as Autumn Kramer joins the program along with Savannah Colliver. Coach Loaiza, we'll let you start with this one. Can you help us introduce these two student athletes?
Yeah. We got Savannah Colliver and Autumn Kramer. They're both sophomores. Savannah's our midfielder, and Autumn's attack player.
And Coach Rosato, can you tell us even more about these two student athletes?
Yeah, they're the future for us. Autumn's going to be our goal scorer and, really lead on the attack side of the ball. And Savannah gets the ball down the field for us. Super athletic. Both of them are definitely going to make an impact in this program. And, I think rewrite some records and do really great things for us.
Very good. Well, appreciate you helping us with the introduction of these two. We're looking forward to introducing them even further to NATO Nation. We'll see you Saturday at Islamel Family Field. Thanks again for joining the program, Coach Rosato, Coach Loaiza.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
All right, there they go. And joined now by these two women's lacrosse student athletes. Autumn Kramer, a sophomore attacker from Stewartstown, Pennsylvania. Autumn, thanks for joining the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And Savannah Colliver, the sophomore midfielder from Greenville, South Carolina. Savannah, glad you're able to join us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Well, ladies, I'd like to get started with the following, and this is what we started the interview with the coaches with, which was how it felt after this long layoff that, so many teams throughout college sports had to deal with. But you finally got to play a game after probably feeling like an eternity of practicing against yourself. How did that feel to finally, get a game under your belt and to officially start the season? Savannah?
For me personally, it was a little bit nerve-wracking because, it had been at least a year since we had played a game. So it was definitely a big change to actually get onto the field and, like you said, play people who aren't just like our teammates. And it was nerve-wracking, but in a good way. It was a lot of fun to be able to get back out there and play.
Autumn?
Yeah, it was so exciting. I was so pumped, so ready to play. I was overflowing with excitement like a week before the game. At every practice, we were counting down the days and just getting so ready to play. And yeah, the first game jitters were definitely there, but it was after that first draw of the game, it was so exciting to play.
And tell us a little bit about, sort of what the team, has been through, what you guys have been up to, what the fall was like. You guys made a lot of sacrifices and had to be very disciplined to, keep your team safe and healthy and all those things, but also, stay focused to, be ready when the season finally came around. Savannah, can you kind of tell us a little bit, what the team's fall was like and then also the preseason?
Yeah, so in the fall, we usually just go over the basics, just like normal, just like passing, throwing, catching, and things like that. And the fall is when we usually just kind of like break it down, make sure everybody not necessarily knows what they're doing, just like getting back to the basics. And this year it wasn't very different than it was last year. I mean, again, like we have to wear masks when we're inside, but since we're playing outside, we don't necessarily have to like have those protocols since we're all kind of spaced out.
Autumn, anything to add to that?
We in the fall we just basically got to know each other. We have a lot of newer faces to our team, so it was a lot of like team bonding, a lot of getting to feel again how to play with these girls, and yeah, just learning the basics like catching, throwing, getting back to being conditioned because we were off for a really long time. So yeah, and then the spring was basically just getting conditioned again because we had a break, and then just passing again and throwing and catching because we gotta fix the roots first before we can add on to it.
That's right. Got to get those fundamentals down. No doubt about it. Well, would like NATO Nation to learn a little more about each of you, your journey, perhaps when you found the sport of lacrosse and how it eventually turned into an opportunity to play college lacrosse. Savannah?
Yeah, so my journey probably started in about the middle of 7th grade. I was trying to figure out a sport. I knew I wanted to play a sport, but wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. And then I finally found lacrosse, which was not a popular sport at the time where I lived. But it was starting to grow in South Carolina, and I was like, let's try this. I mean, I don't see anyone else playing it. So, and then I continued to play and fell in love with the sport. And then I also played basketball as well. So, and a lot of my teammates on the basketball team were saying that basketball was really similar to lacrosse, and a lot of the rules were pretty similar too. But of course, lacrosse is with a stick instead of just using your hands to dribble like in basketball. And I just continued ever since.
Autumn, tell us about your journey.
So I think I started playing lacrosse in like 4th grade. Lacrosse is really big in the part of PA I live in. I'm right on the Maryland border, so it's huge there. Everyone plays lacrosse. My cousins played, so that's how I kind of got into it. And just like Savannah, I've pretty much played every sport, tried them all out, and lacrosse is the one that stuck. So then I found Riz through some recruiting stuff over the summers. I played club lacrosse, so that's how I found her, and I fell in love with the campus. So that's how I ended up here.
Very good. Just a couple more before we let you go. Autumn, we talked to your coaches a little bit about the team culture and the emphasis on community service. Can you tell our audience, why that's so important to you all?
I love doing community service because I love the farm that we go to. I love hanging out with Jackie and her family. They're amazing. But I like that it really emphasizes on the bigger picture. Like, we're not going to be college athletes forever. Like, we have to grow up and, leave college and be an adult and be in the community and stuff like that. So it just really helps build a better person all around. It helps out with our character and just like all those team skills that we learn and learn how to interact with other people are going to help us a lot in our future.
Savannah, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Autumn. Like, we love Jackie and her family. We love going and hang out with all the animals. And it's just fun for the whole team to just go and hang out and do this work on the farm while also getting to like get closer together as a team.
Very good. Well, last thing, always want to give Brevard College student athletes the opportunity to give any shout outs or thank yous to anybody who may have helped you along the way, or anyone you just want to say hello to. Savannah, before we let you go, any shout outs or thank yous?
Probably shout out to my family and my friends and my best friend Ashton and my boyfriend, and also Coach Rosato and Coach Loaiza, just because they're probably the best coaches I've ever had. And yeah.
Very good. Autumn?
Yeah, shout out to my mom and dad. They're my number one. My little brother JJ and my boyfriend Dylan. Parker Moore, love her.
And definitely Riz and Diana. I love them too.
Very good. Covered a lot of ground with you two, and would look forward to seeing you at Ives Lamel Family Field on Saturday, and hope NATO Nation can tune in 1 p.m. versus Piedmont. We'll be on the YouTube channel bringing you all the action. Autumn Kramer and Savannah Colliver, thanks for joining the program.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank you for having us.
All right, there they go. Two of those student athletes from the women's lacrosse team, and we'll shift gears once again, bring in our next guests. As I'm going to talk a little hardball now, as the baseball coaching staff has entered the building. Head coach Mike Victory, also assistant coaches Rob Julian and Steve Hucke. Gentlemen, thanks for joining the show.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us, Cole.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, coaches, we are on a absolute tear on the baseball timing at the moment. So I want to kind of break this down a little bit in case NATO Nation was not paying close attention, make sure they know loud and clear just how well this team is playing. Let's go back first to the middle of last week, a game at Pfeiffer on Wednesday night. Ben Melton, the winning pitcher, allowing just one earned run, a couple of unearned runs of, and then shutout relief from Bowers and Hacker, the 9-3 victory over Pfeiffer. Coach Victory, big time win on the road there.
Yeah, I mean, we got in our vans and drove out there, and we told the team afterwards it's hard to get on a long van ride, get off and show up the way that they did. Ben pitched great from the get-go, got himself out of jams when he had to, and just did his thing, and everyone else backed him up. He set the tone out there on the mound. That's what our starting pitching's done a lot of is be a common presence on the mound, and our hitters know if they hit behind them, we're going to be okay.
And Coach Julian, you're the pitching coach of this squad. You had to be pleased with that performance from those three.
Yeah, I mean, Ben's a vet. He's going to go out there and do that, more times than not. I tell guys all the time that, if you're one of the younger guys and, you don't have the 88, 89, 90s, watch Ben Melton. Watch what he does and watch his body of work, and you'll learn a few things. Ben's not going to light up any radar guns anytime soon, but he throws it where he wants, can spin it. He has a little cutter now that he throws in there. He's never going to throw the same pitch 2 pitches in a row. So when you do that and you're throwing strikes, you're going to have a chance. And then with Chap and Norm, those are things that we expect out of those guys. Those are the guys that we can go to in those spots, late in games and kind of say here, and they'll go end it for us. So it was great to, obviously see them do those things.
Coach Hucke, midweek games in college baseball, they're, can be kind of tricky sometimes, especially if you have to go on the road when you have, classes to deal with and that kind of thing. Can you comment on that, as far as, what it takes to win a midweek game on the road?
Well, you got to be resilient because, first of all, if you're going to be traveling, you got to get into a van if you're not taking a bus and get packed in there like sardines and try to survive that ride and get used to the music that these kids want to listen to. And I just plug my ears, but it's a different mindset because you don't have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like you're getting up early, you're getting in the van, you're driving, and you're going and you're playing, and you got to get back and study, and you got to get back ready to get up, for your class. I mean, I don't know if their vans asked, but my van, hey, coach, we have to go to 8 o'clock class in the morning. Well, of course you do. That's why you're there. So, but it's a different mindset. It can be more of a grind than a weekend series.
And then back to the friendly confines of Gil Cohen Field on Friday. This game was originally scheduled for Saturday, then got moved to a Friday doubleheader. And in game one, Brevard 15, William Peace 1. The Bats were alive, Coach Victory.
Oh, it was a blast. We were joking around with the guys that we hadn't gotten one in our new white uniforms yet, and they were all excited that people were back out. Their fans were there to watch them play. The families are out there able to watch them play again, and they did exactly what we wanted them to do, and just base hit after base hit, and put that pressure on, and then didn't stop. which is a big jump for this team is to say, hey, yeah, we scored some runs, but let's score a whole lot more and just see how much we can get.
And Coach Julian, he's going to be a guest later on the show, but Matthew Scavatto, got it done on the mound.
Yeah, Scavs is a guy that, like you mentioned, he'll be on in a little bit, but he's a guy that has grown so much in a year, has matured so much, and Scavs has come a really long way. I told him today, I don't think he had his best stuff, necessarily on Friday, but he went out there, he did what he had to do, got out of jams when he had to, and then whenever you get a 7-run lead in the second, it's okay. I'm gonna go pitch with a lead now. That's easy. Our job's easy at that point. And he did a really good job of going out there and even when it's getting to the it was 12 and then 14, and you still got to. I still looked at him and Scavs, come on, let's finish now. Like, let's go. And he gets it. He's a guy that he leads in different ways than most guys. Scavs doesn't say a whole lot. He just goes and does it. Goes about his business the right way. And it was awesome to see him continue to succeed.
And Coach Hucke, I know you spent a lot of time specifically with the hitters of this club. It had to be rewarding to see this kind of performance.
Yeah, I basically told them, say, hey guys, thanks for saving my job for another week, and it was fun to see them, just the energy. I got there a little bit after our batting practice was over because I was at my other job, but just the excitement in the dugout and just the excitement on the whole day. I mean, our infield outfield was phenomenal, and then just to come out and start banging the ball around like that. I mean, I think at one point, coach, we had 12 base hits, not straight, but like 12 singles, and it proves positive that if you keep it simple and stick to the game plan, you don't need to hit home runs. You don't need to. You just need to put the ball in play and hit the ball where it's pitched. And our guy's job, and I've always said hitting is contagious, and we get 2 or 3 hits and boom, next thing you know, we have 13, 14 hits and scoring 15, 16 runs. So it was fun to see and hear the excitement in the dugout on top of it.
And then you turn around and play the second game of the doubleheader and fall behind 7-0 at the end of the top of the third. William Peace led this contest 7-0, but then Brevard scraped 2 runs in the bottom of the third. Those 2 runs proved to be very significant, correct, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a conversation with those guys. I think they were all amped up and excited about the way the first game went and just came out trying to do a little bit too much in that second game. You saw our swings got a little bit too big, and we weren't creating like we had been in the first game. We had a conversation like, go out there, get back to what we do well, drive the baseball up the middle, get some base hits, and that's exactly what they did. They came out. I think there was at least 3 straight singles to start off that inning, and you could feel the momentum start to switch a little bit. And I told them, hey, if you guys go score, our bullpen's not going to allow a run. They're going to go out there, they're going to shove, they're going to do what they've done this whole year. You just got to keep trying to work to catch up to them, and we'll be okay.
In order to mount a comeback, you have to keep on limiting the other team's offense, and the pitchers did exactly that. Hacker, Sanders, and Dennis shutting out William Peace down the stretch. Coach Julian, you had to be proud of that effort.
Yeah, that was, once again, those are guys that we expect, those things out of. Like Coach mentioned, got to 7, and then, we scored. And it was like, okay, we know our guys aren't going to give up any more runs. So let's go out and swing it and see what we can do. But yeah, Nate, Norm, and Cobb are all 3 guys that, once again, work incredibly hard. I know that was Cobb's first career win, and I went to him after the game, and I was like, probably a little bit later than you ever would have thought it would have happened. But also all 3 of those guys are, once again, guys that have grown up tremendously. Going out there into the top of the 7th, Cobb's walking to the mound, and I kind of just, give him a head nod, and he knows what that means. And all of our guys, know what that means. They say, let's go, go shut the door. And I'm really proud of the way that not just those 3 guys, but the pitching staff as a whole has really bought in and worked and are seeing the successes that they are seeing.
And then Coach Hucke, one of the, at least from my perspective, one of the more amazing comebacks I've witnessed, which was putting up 7 runs in the bottom of the 6th to take this 9-7 victory. You've seen a lot of baseball, Coach Hucke, but that was a pretty exceptional bottom of that frame.
Yeah, I remember walking over and talking to Holden Lanier in the dugout. Said, I feel good. My hands are tingling some runs. And then next thing you know it, we put 7 on the board. So I don't know if it's because my arm was sore from swinging them around the first game and maybe the nerve was cut off. I'm not sure, but it opened back up against again, scored some more runs. But it was fun. I mean, you look back at that second game, we started off kind of shaky and, had a freshman on the mound that struggled a little bit. And I think our guys backed him up and they picked him up with the sticks and with some good defensive plays and made some things to keep us, I told Coach Victory, I said, I never felt we were out of the game. It was just a matter of time for us to get in the groove again. And like he said, we were overswinging early. Guys were getting a little bit excited. They thought that here we go, we're gonna put the hurt to them again. And all of a sudden they realized, you know what, baseball is a humbling game, and it just had to get back to keeping it simple. And they followed the game plan again down the stretch when we needed it, and we got some clutch hits. We finally get hits with the guys in scoring position, and that was really, really fun to see and watch. And again, hear the excitement in the dugout again. It was awesome. Yeah, it was a huge comeback.
Yeah, the comeback win caps off the sweep over William Peace and 6 straight wins for the Tornadoes. But back to business this week as the Tornadoes will travel to Mary Baldwin this weekend for another road series. Coach Victory, what's going to be the emphasis this week?
It's keep doing the things that we've done up to get us to this point and keep trying to get better every single day. One day better has always been Coach Julian's thing since we stepped on campus, and we're continuing to preach it to these guys that this is great. Winning is great, but it's just a feeling. You got to keep working going forward and working towards that, the desire to win all the time, and that desire to know that you're never out of a game. And, we're going to treat every USA South opponent that we face as exactly the same and go at it the same way and continue to try to have this same success going into the weekend.
Very good. Head coach Mike Victory, assistant coaches Steve Hucke and Rob Julian from the BC baseball team. Coaches, before we let you go, stick around just a couple more moments. We're going to bring in the student athletes, and I'd like for you to assist us in introducing these two to our audience as Logan Clark enters the building, as does Matthew Scavatto. Logan Clark, by the way, huge weekend at the plate, especially part of that big comeback. And Matthew Scavatto getting that win in game 1 of that series versus William Peace. Coaches, tell us even more about these two. Coach Victory?
They're here for a reason. They were a big part of the way this weekend worked. Matt set the tone. Again, he's been doing that as the number one all season, going out and just pitching the way he does. And, he's, again, that calming presence on the mound. He goes out there and he just deals. And the hitters go, okay, if Matt's going to do that, we're going to go score a bunch. And they can have a lot of fun behind him because, he's going to get his strikeouts, but there's going to be balls in play and there's going to be a lot of action because he's around the zone. Logan's a younger guy. He's part of the outfield crew that sets the tone in our practices, the way that they go about their business. And, as a freshman, I think he started out a little quiet, but you're seeing that personality come out of him big time. And, he stepped up in a huge spot for us. We talked about it at practice today and, coming in and picking us up after JJ had a tough at bat. And, if you go back and watch, I want to bring this up at some point, like a pure Mudita moment for our team was JJ jumping around behind home plate after Logan got that hit and just up there getting so excited after he could have been down and out. But his freshman buddy picked him up and put us in the head.
Coach Julian, tell us more.
He touched on a lot of things. Scavs, like I said, has been that guy for us. We can give him the ball and know that he's going to go out and always give us a chance. Like Coach said, he's going to be around the zone. He's going to, pitch to contact more times than not and keep our defense involved and make sure that, we're going to have a chance to win. A guy that, busts his butt every single day to continue to get better. And, there's a reason that he's having the success that he's having. Logan, like Coach mentioned, a younger guy that kind of got thrown into the fire a little bit. That was kind of a thing where it was, here you go, as a guy, a younger guy that, we see as a big part of this program. It's kind of like, here's the keys, let's see what we got. and he's stepped up in some big time spots. You know, he's had the freshman moments where, you know, he struggled a little bit, but like it is what it is. You know, he steps up when, you know, we need him to step up. Once again, does the right things every single day, continues to get better, and kind of puts pressure on a lot of those older guys. And they know that, you know, I got to get better because Logan Clark's coming. And it's kind of cool to see that and you know, see not just these two, but all the guys, you know, have success.
Coach Hucke, pretty strong duo here, correct?
Well, I'm sorry.
Strong duo here. Can you tell us even more about Logan and Matt?
You know, I don't spend a lot of time with the pitchers, but watching Matt last year and watching him to this year, it's like watching a whole total different person, someone who's really in control of what he wants to do, what he wants to get accomplished, and controls the strike zone, controls his pitches, and, you know, it just controls his emotions. And I think that's a huge thing for young guys to look at when you're looking at a pitcher who is having success is, you know, look at how he controls himself when things aren't going that well or when things are going well, because you can get too high and get too low. But, you know, he's been a great leader on the mound. Doesn't say a lot, you know, doesn't need to. He's doing it by, you know, getting guys out. And that speaks more volumes than being the guy jumping and cheering and slapping high five everybody in the dugout. I mean, if you go out there and get the job done, you're talking on the scoreboard by keeping them from scoring, by putting zeros up. So he's been doing a great job. Logan, I can't say enough about this young man. I mean, he came in and, you know, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and was hoping to come in and just be a part of a squad, I think. And then, like Coach Julian said, he got thrown into the fire and has respect, you know, and it's fun to see his level of excitement and the improvement he's made from the time we started working in the cages with him. And you know, what I like about him, he asks a lot of questions and wants to get better and takes coaching very, very well. And what I like about it too, he has a very simple approach to everything he does. What's being, you know, overshadowed right now, he's a very, very good outfielder and has made some nice plays in the outfield this year and has saved some runs with some diving catches and just cutting balls off and you know, that picks a pitcher up. I mean, Matt can speak to that. Seeing a guy dive, making a solid 100% effort for a ball and then come up with it. I mean, you're ready to go pitch the next guy. And so, you know, he's done a great job, and he does not play like a freshman. You know, he plays like he's an upperclassman right now, and it's fun to see, and I'm proud of him. He is a nephew of a friend of mine, so it's pretty cool to see that too as well. So.
Very good. Well, coaches, really appreciate you joining this edition of Tornado Talk. 6 straight wins for the Tornadoes. Looking forward to continuing that streak this weekend with the trip to Mary Baldwin. Thanks again for joining the show.
Thanks for having us, Phil.
Hey, as always, Phil, thanks, man.
All righty, there they go. The coaching staff of the Brevard College Tornadoes. And appreciate NATO Nation staying up late with us to talk some BC baseball, joined by these two. Matthew Scavatto, junior left-handed pitcher from Charlotte, North Carolina, East Mecklenburg High School. Matthew, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, Phil. It's great to be here.
And Logan Clark making his Tornado Talk debut, the freshman outfielder from St. Petersburg, Florida, St. Petersburg High School. Logan, thanks for joining the program.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, Matthew, let's start with Friday in your outing. You know, you don't get to pitch with that kind of lead probably too often. So I'm sure, you know, you never relax when you're on the mound necessarily, but how did it feel good to have that kind of run support?
It was incredible. I mean, I told some of the guys after it was the most fun I think I've ever had on a baseball field. I know historically, Brevard College baseball, we work hard. Sometimes we don't get the result that we want, but I think on Friday we did, and everything paid off, and it kind of set the tone for the season, and it makes us all really excited. Right now we're just thinking, who's next? Like who can we face next? Who can we beat up on next? And that's been the main objective.
And Logan, whenever you win 15-1 via the run rule, it's got to feel good from a hitter's perspective.
Oh yeah, it was really exciting seeing the bats come hot out like that, and
get to really explode on the hitting side, which we haven't really done that much this year, but that was our first real big explosion in hits. And it was very exciting to especially play behind Scavatto pitching like that.
And then Matthew gets to relax for game 2 with game 1 win under his belt, and then witness an incredible comeback. From your perspective, Matthew, down 7-zip, and especially that bottom of the 6 where 7 runs just exploded off the tornado bats. Pretty remarkable stuff, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, part of me knew that there was not a doubt in my mind that we had a chance at it, especially putting up two runs the inning before. I was just chipping away, like that's just the start. And then Logan hits more triples than any baseball player I've ever seen in my whole life. It seems like every game he hits a triple somehow. I never really understand it, but gets a triple, and next thing we know, we're down by 2 runs, 1 run, and then we have the lead. And it's just it kind of all happened really fast, and I lost my voice, and that's a great feeling as well.
Logan, a big part of that comeback, of course, the triple, and then ends up scoring on the same play on a throwing error, kind of a wild sequence there for a moment. The Gil Cohen field just erupts, as 3 runs come home and the Tornadoes take an 8-7 lead. Can you kind of take us through that at bat, Logan, and also your, experience on the base paths?
Yeah, I saw after JJ had struck out on that last pitch, I was kind of just thinking like, I need to do something big here and pick him up. And I was trying to just keep my approach simple at the plate. They were pitching me outside the whole time. So I saw that first pitch and just hopped on it. And as I was like rounding first base, I kind of threw my hands up a little bit because I saw the right fielder catch it and crash into the fence at the same time. And then after I saw him drop it, it was head down and I was running. But as soon as I saw the third baseman dive out and miss the ball, I was full head, like straight home, and just I had to do a little head first slide to make sure I secured it.
Logan, let's stick with you. Matthew said something. He said you hit more triples than most anybody he's ever seen. Is there an art to that? What makes a good triples hitter? You just don't see it too often.
I don't know. It's a little crazy. I've been getting a lot of outside pitching this year, and just we've been working a lot in practice, simplifying my swing and just trying to hit stuff to right field with power. And I've seen a lot of power in practice and stuff. And that's where most of my triples have come from, is just hitting the right field. So I guess I'm going to keep trying to make it work.
Matthew, tell us and our audience even more about your pitching staff, your teammates, and you guys work so hard as a unit. What are you guys all about?
Well, we're pretty much about the older guys setting an example. There's a lot of things we do that some guys just think, oh, this must be pointless, or oh, this seems tedious or monotonous, when in reality, it's going to make them better all-around ball players. It makes us more disciplined when we get work from the coach and we get it done, and we don't ask why. We don't ask like what we're doing. We just see what we have to do and we get it done. Everybody on the pitching staff works hard. Like we all don't just go through the motion. We actually want to get better, and everybody's just itching to get their chance, and everybody wants to pitch so badly, and it shows. Everybody, it's like a friendly competition. Everybody wants to beat each other, but at the same time, we're all happy for each other. Like with Mudita, we're happy with each other's successes. So it's a nice environment to be in this year.
Very cool. And Logan, you're of course new to the program, being a freshman, but I'm sure you feel this culture that Matthew's talking about already.
Oh yeah, there's a very strong family bond between all of us, and it's just very exciting to get to work at practice every day. Everyone motivates each other to work harder, and it's a very strong culture that makes me excited to come to every practice and really excited for game days. Just all around, it's a great feeling of family, and just everyone wants to work together.
And Logan, out of St. Petersburg, Florida, one of several Florida natives who have found their way to Brevard College, myself included, by the way. How do you like it up here in the mountains of Western North Carolina?
It's a very good change from St. Pete. It's nice and warm down there, and the cold weather up here is a nice change for a good portion of the year. So I like seeing mountains instead of all flat land and all that, and the water's a lot colder. So it's a very nice change.
Matthew, I'm sure you guys are welcoming with open arms this talent coming up from Florida.
Absolutely. I remember Logan came on his visit in the previous semester, and we were like just kind of hanging out with him, and me and Jason Jucker, we decided to take him to Cookout, and he said, "Oh, what's Cookout?" And it was funny to see that he had never been to something that's so common to us, and I could tell that he was a good fit for as far as like his personality and stuff. I had never seen him play baseball until he finally got here. When I did, I was even more surprised and more like welcoming, because he's not only a really good kid on and off the baseball field, but he just sets good examples, and he's very mature as a baseball player, and that puts a lot of it helps a lot with the program for future generations to come. So it's a good addition.
Very good. Just a couple more before we let you go. Academics, Matthew, tell us what you perhaps are majoring in or what you have your eye on post-graduation.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a history major with a pre-law minor. I've always been drawn to history. I enjoy reading and writing. I'd much rather write a 10-page essay than do a 100-question test. So I take a lot of history classes, and I'd like to go to law school after I graduate. That's the plan I'm doing right now. So I'm starting to take the steps and register for the LSAT and look into law schools around here, in North Carolina, I mean. So that's currently the plan.
Very good. Best of luck on those endeavors. And Logan, I know you're a freshman, so don't expect you to have everything figured out at this point, but do you have some ideas as far as what you want to focus on academically?
Yeah, I'm currently a business major right now, and I think after I graduate, I kind of wanted to become a general contractor and go into like construction business with my father.
Very good. Question here from Miranda Nash. She's interested in your walkout or your, in Matthew's case, your pitching pump up song. Why do y'all pick your particular song? Maybe you want to tell your audience about your song in particular. Matthew?
So I did Short Change Hero by The Heavy. It's kind of it's kind of slow at the beginning, and then it kicks in and really gets me pumped up. Shout out to Nathan Sanders. He actually showed me that song. It kind of just calms me down, but at the same time hypes me up. So I enjoy when like the kind of beat comes in, and it's like really smooth and makes me like feel excited inside. So I'm able to get in the zone and prepare to just deal and do my thing.
Very good. Logan, got a walk-up song?
Yeah, I picked Smack That. My girlfriend played it for me, and I just thought it had a very nice meaning for baseball. You can smack the baseball, and it just gets me hype. It's a very upbeat song, and I like to sing it when I'm going up to bat.
Very good. Well, hey, before we let you go, shout outs, thank yous, anybody who's helped you along the way. Logan?
I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, my sister, and my girlfriend, and then along with all the BC coaches that helped me progress, and my hitting coach down from St. Pete. His name's Steve.
Very good. Matthew?
Just my parents. They support me with everything I do. They surprised me actually coming up to the game on Friday. They told me they couldn't make it when it got switched, but they were there. And then just kind of the captains, Jason and Ben and JJ. They really keep us in line. They set a good example. They keep us hype. And then just everybody that plays behind me. I know it's cliche, but I used to be more of like a strikeout type pitcher. Like I really wanted to just strike people out. But now I'm realizing it's a lot more satisfying to finish a game or win a game than to try to get a couple more strikeouts. Like I'd rather pitch to contact and let my boys behind me work. And I trust every single one of them. So just shout out to all the guys that have been grinding for me.
Great stuff, guys. Well, Logan Clark, Matthew Scavatto, really appreciate you joining Tornado Talk. Stick with me here as I put a bow on this edition of Tornado Talk for us. Want to once again congratulate the Player of the Week honoree, Zach Allison from the baseball team. Your teammate, guys, won the USA South Baseball Player of the Week. Football Defensive Rookie of the Week, Ernest Smith II. Eli Carr wins Offensive Rookie of the Week. Rebecca Rojas and Ashley Royster both win Women's Soccer Player and Defender of the Week awards. And want to thank you, the listener and the viewer, for joining us for this edition of Tornado Talk. Now, we've got a lot of action ahead this week. Women's soccer versus North Carolina Wesleyan this Wednesday at 3 p.m. That's in Winston-Salem. Volleyball will be home versus Piedmont at the Bosch at 5 p.m. this Wednesday night. Thursday, the men's soccer reserves travel to Gardner-Webb at 5 p.m. Friday, be sure to join us on the YouTube channel. We're going to bring you some special coverage from the McCoy Tennis Complex when the men's and women's tennis teams take on Piedmont. Saturday, men's and women's tennis back in action versus Piedmont at 9 a.m. Men's lacrosse is at Piedmont. Women's lacrosse is home against Piedmont at Islamel Family Field. Softball hits the road for a doubleheader in Macon, Georgia at Wesleyan. That begins 1 p.m. on Saturday. In baseball, including these two student athletes, Logan Clark and Matthew Scavatto, are headed to Mary Baldwin. That's a 3-game series, Saturday and Sunday. Men's soccer will face off against Greensboro at home at 1 o'clock. We'll bring you that one on YouTube. Softball will have another doubleheader on Sunday at Wesleyan. Volleyball home against LaGrange at 3 p.m. We'll have that on YouTube for you, as well as the women's soccer game versus LaGrange. That's also senior day this Sunday at Islamel Family Field. Well, want to thank all of our guests from the sports of football, tennis, women's lacrosse, and baseball for joining us this evening. And once again, thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. We'll see you next week, Monday, 7 p.m. for another edition of Tornado Talk. Appreciate you joining the show. Go Tornadoes.